For about 10 minutes, we're going to be talking with Mr. William Bill Ailor. Why do people whose name William, why do they call you Bill?
Yeah, it's just short for William. That's all I've ever known.
But have you always gone by Bill?
I have.
Yeah, because you have that on all of your literature, so obviously you want to be called that.
Well, that's how people know me. That's what I've always been known by. That's what my parents actually called me. My grandfather always called me William, but that's probably because I was in trouble most of the time.
Exactly. When you got the full name,
that's right.
you know you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
We're talking today with candidates seeking election to the Knox County general election. Also, Associate Justice the Honorable Sharon Lee is going to be on about 11:30 to talk about retention vote. And so for about 10 minutes, we have Mr. Bill Ailor. And Bill, we didn't tell people, I don't think, the position that you're seeking. So I'm going to step aside and give you this last 10 minutes to say what you want to say to the listening audience.
I appreciate it, Hubert. As you said earlier, I was born and raised here in Knoxville and have lived most of my life here. I went to UT undergraduate, got an undergraduate degree with a double major of political science and religious studies. I started working on another degree in computer science while I was working at Valley Fidelity Bank from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and decided that I was really, not the kind of person who wanted to sit behind a computer screen for the rest of my life. So I went to paralegal school in Atlanta at the National Center for Paralegal Training and started working for law firms. Moved over to Winston-Salem and worked for Womble, Carlisle, Sandage, and Rice on the smoking and health litigation when it first started kicking up in the early 80s, and decided that I was doing a lot of work and they were getting all the money and it kind of looked better to me on the other side, so I decided I was going to go ahead and go to law school, and I was 28 at that point and moved to Nashville and started working as a paralegal for Ortel, Kelly, Hubert, and Crawford, a law firm that at that time had 11 attorneys, and I was the sole paralegal, and I was getting all the witnesses ready for trial and doing all the trial prep work, and I was doing a lot of other work for the firm, and so I applied to law school at the Nashville School of Law because I was working full-time and nobody else was paying for me to do anything. So my father always told me, you appreciate things better if you work for them yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I was working full-time during the day and started going to law school at night in 1985, and the last 3 years of that time, I worked as a deputy court officer and clerk for the Honorable Irvin H. Kilcrease in Davidson County. It's a chancellor over there, and had a great experience with him. He was a great mentor and a great friend, and every day when we would have trials, we would go back into chambers and talk about the witnesses and the proof and the evidence and where things were going and how he was viewing things, and gave me a great perspective from a judge. And he was just one of the kind of people who had the wisdom of Solomon, and just was just tremendous for me to learn from. And when I graduated from law school, I wanted to come back and work with my father, and so I moved back here in 1989 and started working with Dad, and he was another mentor and somebody who I learned a great deal from. Dad was the county attorney in Knox County back in the 50s and 60s, and had practiced law here with Harry Asquith and Benton Jones for around 30 years, and so I enjoyed the time that I had with him before he passed away, and have continued to practice law here in Knoxville and surrounding counties, and even other counties. Was in Davidson County just the first of the year. I had a case over there, and I have cases over in Tullahoma and Chattanooga and the surrounding counties of Blount County, Anderson County, Sevier County.
And you're doing this now as an administrative law judge?
No, those were as a private attorney.
Private attorney,
now,
okay.
I was an administrative law judge for the state for 17 years, and I presided as the judge over cases from Memphis to Bristol and everywhere in between. Those trials were just like any other trial. There were typically attorneys on both sides. Occasionally people would want to represent themselves, but they had to rely on the rules of civil procedure and the rules of evidence just like an attorney, and we had pretrial conferences to try to make sure that we were focused on the issues and tried to make sure that things went the way they should go. And those trials would last anywhere from a day to 7 days. I had a trial in Memphis that was a 7-day trial. I actually had to go back to finish it because we couldn't finish it in the 5 days that